Who are the biggest rookie winners after the 2023 NFL Draft? All that and more in this episode of the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Mosher and Kate Magdziuk.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. And joining me today, as always, is Kate Magdziuk. You can follow her on Twitter at Kate Magdziuk. Kate, the NFL Draft is over. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling exhausted. My brain wheels just have been continuing to spin all weekend with no signs of slowing down. But Marcus, we had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of really interesting picks that totally destroyed the value of all of our fantasy teams. Had DeAndre Swift traded to the Eagles this weekend. Like, we had a lot of things to talk about. So we're going to be here all week long with Matt and Ryan to discuss all of the juicy deets and what to make of it. Who are the winners? Who are the losers? What veterans maybe came out of this unscathed?
Yeah.
Hint, it's not a lot. There aren't many, but it's gonna be a really, really fun week here at Locked On Dynasty. So don't forget to subscribe.
Yes. All right. So today we're going to be positive. We're talking about rookie winners in a class that maybe didn't have a lot of them. But Kate, who is your biggest rookie winner after the draft?
This rookie winner isn't going to be a name that I feel like is talked about a lot, but Kendre Miller to the New Orleans Saints, round 3, pick 71 overall. And Marcus, Kendre Miller came out of this process as one of these running backs who had, I think in my eyes, like true workhorse potential at the next level. Now he's headed to a backfield that, like, yes, has Alvin Kamara, right?
Mm-hmm.
For now. Might not be all that long for the making, should be facing a suspension in the 2023 season, but again, has, plenty of touches on his body, has plenty of wear and tear here, is aging. Like, this should be an offense that's going to have some opportunity open up regardless. You have Jamal Williams, who, I mean, coming off the best season of his career, but again, like Jamal Williams, he also is continuing to age, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this process, he'll be going into his age 28 season, and this is like 2022 is his 6th season in the NFL. Marcus, like, he's had plenty of touches on the tires here, over 1,000 career touches, but generally speaking, like, we haven't seen him prior to last season take on a big workhorse role. He's filled this complementary role a lot. And I think suddenly we see with the Detroit Lions, like, maybe they gave a lot of those touches to Jamal Williams because they just really hated DeAndre Swift. Like, you've got Kendre Miller coming in at TCU. He was so freaking productive. He's got that big, bulky frame, which not a lot of these running backs have. 5'11", 215. Like, just has the body of a traditional NFL running back.
Yeah.
Like, he's young. He won't turn 21 until June. Like,
and that's a huge benefit.
Yes.
The other thing, Kate, that we should mention is when we were talking about Kendre Miller kind of pre-draft, we were wondering, like, is that somebody who goes late 3rd round, 4th round, or maybe even a little bit later? The draft capital matters, right? Not only did he get picked in the 3rd round, he got picked pretty high in the 3rd round. He went 71 overall. And that's fantastic draft capital for somebody that we thought could maybe be the 7th, 8th, 9th running back off the board. So in that way alone, he's a winner.
For sure. And like I said, I do think the opportunity is going to be there. I know people are very high, of course, on Jamal Williams after his incredible season, but, like, he brings a lot of size. He brings a lot of I think, potential in terms of, like, a true workhorse skill set. Can certainly stand to expand his game as a receiver. Wasn't super involved there at TCU, but Again, I think this is, maybe one of the few guys in this class, especially given the landing spot where you can see him handling 250 touches in his rookie season, ranked 12th in missed forced tackles last year at TCU, 13th in carries of 15 or more yards. Like, this guy can be pretty explosive, 12th in yards after contact.
Yep.
Like, pretty underrated pick in my opinion. And I think the pathway for opportunity just so much more clear than I think the depth chart would make you think.
And even if it's not for 2023, like, it's very realistic that we get to the 2024 offseason and Kamara and Jamal Williams just aren't on this team, right? And it's Kendre Miller and maybe somebody else they bring in. That's what you're excited about here, on top of the third round draft capital, on top of the situation behind one of the league's best offensive lines. I think there's a lot to like with Kendre Miller. I will say right now, on Dynasty League football, we saw him being ranked for the most part outside the top 5 running backs kind of going in to the NFL draft. He's being ranked at RB5 right now behind Bijan Robinson, Jameer Gibbs, Devon Achane, Zach Charbonnet, and now Kendre Miller at 5 pretty comfortably. Does that feel about right to you?
That feels right to me, but honestly, I'd be comfortable taking him probably RB3, RB4. That's how much I like Kendre Miller. That's how much I like the opportunity. But that Marcus comes back to Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, we're not talking about Charbonnet on this show. Spoiler.
Nope.
Spoiler.
Because he is not a winner. But
no, unfortunately not.
Ugh.
Oh, well. Kate, I want to give you my favorite. I mean, not only the guy that I think is the biggest winner from this year's class, but one of my favorite picks when we get back. This episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Are you looking for a delicious snack but don't want all the sugar and the calories? Then you need to try the best tasting protein bar ever. It's Built. You've absolutely got to try this. If you're like me and you're trying to get a little bit healthier as we get into summer, but you don't want to compromise on taste, I've got just the thing for you. Built Bars and Built Puffs. Built Bars are healthy and they taste amazing. Seriously, you're not even going to know that these are good for you. You've got to try it. Real dark chocolate, only 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar, but a whopping 17 grams of protein. Plus, they come in so many unbelievably great flavors, such as peanut butter brownie, churro, and cookies and cream. Now you don't even have to wait to get Built Bars. You can still go to built.com, order over there like I do, or you get a 3 boxes of the cookie dough, still my favorite. But if you need them right now, which I get it, sometimes you just need your fix, go to Walmart, go to the pharmacy section. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puff. And if you live near a Sam's Club, run in, grab a 13-bar box with some of the hit flavors, including brownie batter puff and churro puff, and you can thank us later. Thank you for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every day. Everydayers, tomorrow on the show, Matt and Ryan will be talking about the biggest rookie losers. I got a feeling Zach Charbonnet might be a featured member of that show, so make sure you check it out. All right, Kate, my biggest rookie winner, it's tight end Michael Mayer, who, when we did our pre-draft shows, there's some controversial opinions on him. Some people had him high, like I did. Some people had him lower, but I think this landing spot with the Las Vegas Raiders is awesome because not only did they want him, they tried to trade up inside the top 20 picks to get him, but he's going onto a team that only has Austin Hooper and OJ Howard blocking him right now, which is basically to say nothing in front of him. I think he's going to be a day one starter. And okay, we know that Josh McDaniels knows how to get tight ends involved in the passing game. And I just think it's a perfect fit for the Raiders as soon as this season.
Yeah, I think the opportunity should be, relatively plentiful, especially given these tight ends ahead of him. But I mean, just all over the field, Michael Mayer can find ways to win. Over 800 receiving yards in each of the last 2 seasons. He's going to be a viable touchdown threat because he's got that nice big 6'5", 250-pound frame. Yep. Like, he's going to be, I think, a difficult player for opposing teams to cover. But also he feels like such a safe pick. And like for the Raiders to have been so aggressively pursuing him
Yes.
that early in the first and having him fall to them in the second, like at that first opportunity that they had, pick 35, like that's really nice value here
Yeah.
for a guy that
Yeah.
was the very heavy favorite to be the first tight end off the board.
And on top of that, the Raiders have a lot of weapons that should help draw coverage away from him, right? Devontae Adams, they signed Jacoby Myers. They still have Hunter Renfrow. They've got a good rushing attack. I won't be surprised if he comes in and he's efficient right away. On top of that, Kate, and we're not going to get into rookie losers, but just look at the other tight ends that were drafted this year and look at their situations. Like Dalton Kincaid, he's going to play with Dawson Knox, who just got a monster contract from Buffalo last year. Luke Musgrave also went to a team that drafted Tucker Kraft. Darnell Washington went in the third round. He's got Pat Fryermuth ahead of him on one of the slowest offenses in the league. Like all the other tight ends are going to be kind of blocked by similar caliber players.
Yeah, I think this is definitely like a very easy pathway to success. And like he's already got all of the tools, I think, that are going to make him very successful, especially as a receiver at the tight end position. He, arguably the best route runner among the tight ends in this class. Like he's a willing blocker. Like that's
Mhm.
going to keep him on the field. But that versatility, I think, is going to be key. And Josh McDaniels, as you mentioned, is a guy that knows how to utilize that right
Yeah.
out of the gate.
All right. Who's your next rookie winner?
Ooh, Marcus, who is my next rookie winner? I think probably got to talk about Devon Achane,
Mm,
right?
sure.
Interesting fit. Not like a guy that's going to necessarily topple over my rankings, but the pathway I think could be there for some touches, and I do think from a scheme perspective, couldn't have found a probably a better fit or like this pick came across the screen, and I was like, oh, of course, Miami Dolphins, Devon Achane, like he fits their prototypical running style like to a T. They
Oh
love these
gosh, yeah,
super
yeah.
explosive, super fast running backs. And that is exactly what they get with Devon Achane. He's a home run hitter, can break away on a dime. He ran a 4.32 40-yard dash.
Thought it would be
He's
faster.
thought it would be faster, but like we know the game speed is
It's
just
ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. And I mean, when you look at what they're generating in that offense between these receivers, between Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, like, yeah, that's gonna spread out. You're gonna have to spread out
Mhm.
some coverages there. And I do think that's gonna open up a lot of lanes for a guy like Devon Achane. And like he might not be the most consistent back on a week to week basis, but because I think what you're going to have to rely on is more so these breakaway runs as opposed to maybe
Okay.
a high volume like a Kendre Miller. But
I mean, kind of like Raheem Mostert the last
yes,
6 years, right? Who just so happens to have a history with Mike McDaniel. Like he's never going to be somebody that gets 18, 19 touches in a game, but you give him 14 carries on one of the most explosive offenses in the league. Watch out.
yeah, I just think this was such a seamless fit and it made so much sense. It was the most duh pick that like I can't believe I didn't have a chain to the
Yep.
Dolphins, like just
It makes
etched
so much
into
sense,
stone.
right?
It was seamless, and I think he's gonna have a lot of really interesting
I agree.
opportunities, but the upside for a guy that can just break away these plays incredibly high.
Would you be surprised to know that he's now being ranked as RB3 among rookies by Dynasty League football?
That's a little rich for
It is
me.
rich, but
It's
I think that shows
rich.
the class, right? Like, obviously,
Yeah.
Robinson and Gibbs are the clear cut top two. And then after that, it's pick your flavor, right? Do you want a speedy guy? Do you want somebody that's blocked by one of the best running backs that came out of last year's class? Do you want to take Kendre Miller, who's blocked by Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams? I mean, interesting rookie running back class. Okay, I've got two more winners. One is very sexy. The other one is not. Which one do you want first?
Oh, we gotta go with sexy because then I just want to cap off the show with like a giant banger.
Okay. It's Rashee Rice. is the
Yeah.
biggest winner among all the receivers for a couple different reasons. Number one, we liked his tape kind of coming out of SMU. We thought, maybe third, potentially fourth round draft capital because of some of the character concerns that were being rumbled about. Not only did he go on day two, Kate, he went at pick 55. And not only did he go at pick 55, but the Chiefs traded up to get him. They went from, I believe it was 63 or 64, 63 up to 55, which isn't I mean, that's a pretty significant trade. And now you're pairing him with Patrick Mahomes. And I got a feeling that he's going to be playing in the slot, which means we're going to see him getting a lot of valuable targets.
Yeah, I like looking back at my initial notes for Rashee Rice. Like, here are my key moments. Splash plays that will make you melt. Route running can feel a little bit lazy, but super nice to have on scramble drills, which that's going to be straight up money for Patrick Mahomes, who lives to extend every single play. When a play breaks down, I thought that was one of Rice's strong suits
Yep.
was, just being able to vibe with his quarterback and get on the same page and help that quarterback live to see another down, which that builds a lot of trust, right? A
Absolutely.
lot of
Yes.
trust with your quarterback, and that will earn you targets. He could be a little bit sloppy, not like the best separator. Like there are times where I thought his route running just looked a little bit like lackadaisical, maybe. But
Honestly, it
like,
reminds me a little bit of Juju. Like seriously, like that was
yeah,
kind of my comp coming out of SMU, somebody who played on the outside that kind of projects into the slot in the NFL.
yeah,
And we saw what a pretty banged up Juju did this year, almost had 1,000 yards with the Chiefs.
yeah.
The other thing we've got to realize here is Travis Kelce is not going to be around forever, right? At some
Don't say
point,
that, Marcus.
well,
Don't you
I mean, it's not
dare.
like he's going to die. It's just at some point, his play is going to drop off, or he's just going to retire, and that's going to open up 150 more targets for this offense. I think if you draft Rashee Rice and you're patient, you could be getting a low end wide receiver one down the road.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. Like there's not
Buy
I don't have
Rashee Rice
anything to
is what we're saying. Buy Rashee Rice.
buy. Buy,
Uh,
buy, buy.
I've got one more winner. I think, Kate, you have one more winner as well. Let's take a quick break and we'll be back to talk about some of our final winners from this draft class. All right, Kate, who is your final winner from this year's NFL draft class?
I would be remiss if I didn't find one more opportunity to talk about Tank Dell. I just need
Yeah.
one more shining moment. But Tank Dell, like we know the size has been a concern. He's a very small wide receiver and like didn't necessarily turn heads at the NFL combine. Like should have probably been much faster than he was in terms of his 40-yard dash time. Just didn't like look nearly as explosive as you would have projected him. But I mean, despite the fact that he's 5'8" and 165 pounds and disappointed at the combine, he still came in with some pretty nice draft capital, went to the Houston Texans round 3, pick 6 of the 3rd round. And
Can I add something in really quickly there?
yeah,
Not only did they draft, I think he was the 8th receiver off the board, but this is a guy the Texans traded up to get, right? So it's clear that they liked him a lot and they didn't want to risk losing him in the 3rd round. So that matters, right? When we're talking about these receivers, if they got that kind of conviction on a player that they're willing to give up draft capital to go get him, means they like him a lot.
it means they like him a lot, and like for good reason. You're gonna have a quarterback, a rookie quarterback who, I mean, the cast of characters, it's gonna be an interesting mix. Maybe we see John Mechie back this season. You have Dalton Schultz. Like there's some interesting names there in Houston, but Tank Dell, I think, immediately comes into this situation and could see himself playing full time out of the slot, which could yield him uh, a lot of targets, especially knowing, let's look at CJ Stroud's slot receiver over the last 2 seasons. Obviously, was injured last year, but Jackson Smith and Jigba, like one of the most, productive receivers
Yep.
when you had CJ Stroud throwing him the ball. I think Tank Dell immediately slots in there. And I've said it one times, if not a million. I don't know if that's a saying, but like everything that Tank Dell lacks in terms of his size, he makes up for in terms of his route running
Yes.
and his ability to separate. And I think that's going to translate here, especially with a guy who knows how to utilize these slot players.
I would say I was on another podcast a couple days before the draft, and we were talking about my favorite player in the draft, which is Tank Dell. And I said, I really hope he goes to a team that has a somewhat stationary quarterback that can just feed him the ball quickly, right? That's my fear, is that he was going to get to a team with an athletic quarterback that just doesn't throw him the ball right away. CJ Stroud is a perfect fit for him, right? Because Stroud wants to get rid of the ball quickly. He's not going to take off with the ball. I think Tank Dell, we've got to start considering him as a viable dynasty asset now that he was the 8th receiver off the board. The Texans traded up to get him. I love this fit. Absolutely love it. Plus, he gets to stay in Houston. What's better than that?
Yeah, nice not to have to pack up all your bags.
Yeah. All right, my last winner. For me, when we're looking at this rookie class, it's which guys gain the most value, which ones were kind of just barely on our radar that all of a sudden now are in a situation where they could become the number one guy on their team. And for me, that's Luke Schoonmaker, who the Dallas Cowboys selected. When we ranked our top 5 tight ends, was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, didn't crack the top 5 for anybody. But now he's being drafted or being ranked as the top 4 or 5 tight ends, and it makes perfect sense, right? The Dallas Cowboys picked him over Tucker Kraft. They picked him over Darnell Washington. He's just not blocked by anybody. Like Dalton Schultz is gone. It's Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot, and he's a far better athlete than those guys. Plus, we've seen how valuable that tight end role has been over the last 3 years for the Cowboys. Dalton Schultz has been a tight end 1 in each of the last 3 years. Whenever he plays, Schoonmaker is far bigger. He's far more athletic. He's coming from a big school. The Cowboys spent a second-round pick on him. He absolutely has to be on our radar now, especially in tight end premium leagues.
Absolutely. And like, this is a team that, was very aggressively pursuing the tight end position throughout the draft process. Mm-hmm. And we're very diligent about, scouting the tight end position, having the tight ends in for visits. Like, we know that you're not going to put that kind of investment into, scouting these tight ends, devoting that much of your resources to the position. If you're not going to, make sure this is going to be a potential key element of that offense, the draft capital is there. And, I think, again, the Dallas Cowboys just, they know how to utilize the tight end position, period. Yep. And this is very boring pick, but yes.
It is a very boring pick, right?
But
that's the thing is,
winner.
But we went from somebody who was being ranked and drafted outside of the top 5 tight ends to now we can legitimately have a conversation whether he should be tight end 4 in this class behind Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid, and Sam Laporta. Because if you compare him to like Luke Musgrave, the Packers also took Tucker Kraft, which kind of hurts both of their values. Darnell Washington, again, went to Pittsburgh. He's going to be blocked behind Pat Freiermuth in a low-volume passing offense. It's not all that inconceivable to think that Luke Schoonmaker might be the most productive tight end out of this class as soon as year 1. It really would not surprise me at all.
I think it's fair. Boring but fair, Marcus. And I that's okay. There were enough shakeups this year that I'll take boring but fair anytime.
All right, that is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every day. Again, Matt and Ryan back tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday to talk about some rookie losers, some veteran winners, some veteran losers. Tons of content coming out this week post-draft. So make sure you guys are downloading the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube at Locked On Dynasty. You can follow Kate on Twitter at Kate Magdziuk. I'm at Marcus _Mosher. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you guys next time.